Hey, Gremlin Gear, thanks for joining me. Today, I'm going to be showing 5 things that I keep in my get home bag or my truck bag. So if you like this content, go ahead and like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'm going to get into 5 things that you can add to a truck bag, car bag, survival get home bag today. So, this is a backpack that I got for free. Most of the things in this bag are things that I just had around the house, and I went ahead and packed this bag. Now, in recent times, summer 2025, we've already had some interesting things going on. June was a very spicy month. We had protests nationwide, mainly in LA. If they're anything like the protests in 2020, we know how disruptive that can be and how that can affect you. And that's kind of whenever a bag like this becomes necessary. I do not roll around with all this equipment in my truck all the time. It's a little bit unnecessary. It's a little bit of a liability. I don't have a truck gun. I have my everyday carry, my concealed carry, which is right next to me. It's a Glock 19. It's my everyday carry pistol. It doesn't change. So that's on me at all times. But this bag does come out whenever things get a little weird and start to amp up a little bit. I don't want to find myself in an uncomfortable situation. I don't want to deal with any of these problems. And so I have a few items in here that are problem solvers. And all of my gun guys are going to find this a bit fun because we're all a little autistic about packing our gear. So let's get into it. This is, like I said, a backpack that I got for free. There is nothing special about it. It's just a very inconspicuous, not a sponsor, bag from Ram, I guess. But it does a few things really well. For one, it's pretty big. And I know for people that are worried about staying concealed maybe, this bag can throw some red flags because it's a heavy bag. If for whatever reason you were worried about actual security forces spotting you, yeah, they're gonna see this as a big heavy backpack. But there's some obvious things that you can take out of here to trim down on the size. So let's go ahead and get into the main component, the most fun component of this backpack, probably the thing that everyone's wanting to see in here. And it's that I keep my smallest carbine in here, which is a CZ Scorpion. It's pretty much stock. I've done a few things with this gun. I've done the trigger lightning kit from HB Industries. I have a Surefire KM1E, so it's an IR and white light. It's a vampire light. It doesn't put out that much illumination, but it's just enough to go into a small building with, or to see about 25 yards decently. Angled hand stop on the front. I believe this is about a 20 to 15 round mag, and a mag pull grip on it. So none of those things really matter. I'm actually going to be upgrading the optic here pretty soon to something like an EOTech. It's stayed in this configuration for a long time, and this isn't a gun that I shoot a lot, so it's not something that I really wanted to spend a lot of money on the optic with, but this is one that I had around and I kind of sort of color matched it. But this is the smallest gun that I have, and it has a folding arm brace on it. Can fit in this bag perfectly. There are smaller guns you can go with. You don't have to get a Scorpion. You can do all sorts of stuff from handgun stabilizer kits, Flux Raiders, although I think those are really hard to get and maybe only for the SIG handguns. Any PDW will do, or PCC will do. I believe this one has a 7.5-inch barrel on it, and it's a little long. There is actually a micro Scorpion conversion kit that makes this thing about a 5-inch or 5.5-inch barrel. Cuts it down to about here, makes it a lot smaller, can fit in the bag a little bit easier. But I didn't really see the point in spending the money on it, I guess, and I actually kind of like the quad rail for mounting accessories instead of having to go out and buy a bunch of M-Lock stuff. As you can see, everything stock has just Picatinny rail mounts on it, and so I just stick with that. But this is the go-to backpack carbine, and it fits in the bag very nicely. Once the gun is out, the backpack is a bit smaller and, you guessed it, a lot lighter, even though the Scorpion is a very lightweight gun. So The second thing that I'll show is actually the rig that I have to support this carbine. This is something that I could probably wear under clothes, and I can really change this piece of gear up and trim it down per my needs, but it is an old T-Rex Arms ready rig. And they never made a ready rig that could take 9mm mags. So what I did was I actually went on Amazon recently and found little Kydex 9mm mag inserts. I don't know why it took me so long to figure this out, but I bought a pack of 4 and I stuffed 2 of them into the 5.56 mag cells. I actually used the hair dryer to expand them and make them larger. So here's what they look like. Like I said, it came in a pack of 4. I didn't use them all. I pretty much used the blow dryer to bend this part out because the 5.56 cell is so much larger than a 9mm one. It wants to come out with the mag when you pull it out. So I expanded this so it catches on the nylon a little bit better. It also ships with Velcro strips that you can attach to the back of the mag cell. So that's exactly what I did. It's Velcroed in and it's held with tension whenever the mag is in it. So the nice thing is, I think this chest rig is beautiful and perfect for PCCs and using 9mm. I wish so bad they would have just made a 9mm version of this, but I think they were really kind of advocating for 300 blackout and keeping this rig the way it was. But now I have these CZ 20 round mags stuffed into these mag cells with the Kydex, and they don't come out. So it's really nice. If you just stuffed the mags in there, they'd fall right out. These things were about 16 bucks on Amazon. There's no reason not to get them whenever you have a $75-ish rig. Throw a little bit of extra money in it, and it's good to go for 9mm. This will hold all sorts of PDW mags. But besides that, right now, this isn't really necessary, but I do keep my Hytera radio in there. Like I said, chances are if you're in a get out, bug out situation, you probably don't even need a radio, or you'd want a ham radio in there. So I can swap this out for a Baofeng or for one of my other amateur radio handhelds. I'm a licensed amateur radio operator, so I have the option to do that if I were to need to. However, if you're running and gunning, you really might not need a radio, but you never know what situation you might get into. You might get somewhere really far away from your car unintentionally and need to communicate with friends, family, or loved ones. So there's room for a radio. I don't think I need 3 mags, so I carry 1. Besides that, I have a flashlight and the pistol mag pouch. And this is a earpiece kit for Kenwood style radios. So if I were to use a Baofeng or my DMR radio, my BTEC DMR 6X2, I can actually plug this up to the radio and I'll look like a Secret Service agent. And it has an earpiece that goes from the radio up to my ear so that I have private comms. I keep that with this. Never know when I might desire it, want it, or need it. And I just feel like it goes with this kit and the use case of it, and they're pretty cheap. This is an extra antenna for my handheld radio. If I'm storing one of my other HTs in this rig, all the antennas are longer, so I keep this one in a cell and I keep it detached so that way whenever I plug it out, it doesn't get hung up on anything. If I need to deploy the radio, I put the antenna on. It's a quick BNC style mount. Besides that, I have a medical kit stuffed here in the back. So one thing to note on any of this T-Rex arm stuff, whether you have an AC1 or a ready rig, I've never been able to get the medical kits to stay in these medical size pouches. They're like for 308 mags or medical kits that they advertise. So I'll actually use one of their bungee ties from a sling and wrap it around the whole pouch to keep the medical kit in. And if I ever need to get it out, I just rip it to the side and the thing pops right out. So I have a trauma kit, a gunshot wound kit strapped to this. So if I ever need it, I can pull it out of the backpack in this, or whenever I put this on, I have it with me. In the front pouch here, a lot of things can change in here. This is not a fixed setup, but I do have a taser that I've had around the house. This was actually a Christmas gift for my mother. She doesn't use it. She's a gun, and this is an EpiPen, so that's just something that's personal for me. And a little bit of chapstick because, well, you know, if your lips can't be chapped in an emergency, it's going to make it that much more less miserable. Like I said, this pouch can have different items in it. They'll change out. I can also just rip the whole thing out and get a much more slim loadout, which is probably more realistic and ideal. So, next big item in the backpack. Now, the reason that I choose this is for all of the riots that you see and the amount of tear gas that is used. This is a M460, I believe, military surplus gas mask. I will link to this in the description. And I bought it from a company that I really do like, AWS Gear, not a sponsor, but they're here in North Carolina, which is kind of why I like to support them, North Carolina company. They'll actually stock these every now and then. These are, from what I understand, much better than those like surplus Israeli gas masks that you'll find on like eBay that are really cheap. I think I paid around $140 or $60 for this one. So it's a little bit more, but that's really not that much for such a crucial piece of equipment when we're talking about chemical threats and dealing with a riot situation. There's no filter on it, but, yes, I have it sealed up in the bag still for storage purposes. It is a CF and CS filter from Avon. And this is supposed to defeat tear gas, CF and CS gas. So that's why I have a couple filters. I have a Seaburn one. I have a regular just particulate filter. I keep this one in my riot gear get home bag because this is the most realistic scenario that I would be using a filter for is for CF and CS in the United States. I don't have all the filters in here. It'd be too much weight, too much bulk, just not necessary. And yeah, I still keep it sealed up in the bag for storage purposes. I want this to last as long as possible. So I keep it in here like this. If I really felt like I was getting into a situation where I was going to need to deploy the gas mask, I think I'd have a little bit of a heads up to realize, oh, they're deploying tear gas around me. That is something that you notice. And I think I would have enough time to deploy it. It's not like I'm worried about getting hit with a dirty bomb or anything like that. So it's not like I'd have to have my Seaburn filter all prepped and ready to go. So in the next smaller compartment, not that any of this stuff really matters where you put it, but for me, in the next smaller compartment, I have about, what is this? I have 4 cuff ties. I think I got these on Amazon too. Pretty cheap cuff ties. Restraining people, restraining crazy, disorderly people if I were to need to. I am not a police officer and this is not legal advice. Personalized boo-boo kit, so Benadryl, Band-Aids, gauze, gloves, chapstick, eye drops, saline, allergy drops, bleed stop, the whole 9 yards. This is way more realistic than me busting out the trauma kit, someone getting shot. Not that that can't happen, but that's probably what I'm going to use 9 times out of 10. Okay, and the next thing is an MRE. So this is just a personal homemade MRE. It's got rice, I believe 2 Cliff Bars, 2 pieces of chocolate, and some Star-Kissed tuna salad, ranch deli style flavored tuna salad. So you can get hungry and die, or be hungry and very uncomfortable and not be able to make good decisions. You probably won't die. That's a little unrealistic. You can go a really long time without food. But I actually had a recent experience that I've told a lot of people about where pretty much I'm driving to work at 7 o'clock in the morning and I got stuck in traffic for 3 hours on the interstate. And this was not because I neglected to get off of the interstate. It was because the traffic was at a complete standstill. And the section of the interstate that I was in, there is not another exit for miles. And actually, the next exit that I was going to get off of was the one where the accident happened. Car head-on collision with a semi-truck, and pretty much the thing exploded. It happened at 2 a.m. They were still cleaning it up by 7 a.m. And sure, there wasn't like a riot or anything weird going on or people getting violent, but if you think about the situation that you're in a situation like that, you're stranded. I mean, you're miles away from home, you're miles away from work, you're miles away from any reasonable exit ramp for your vehicle, and I had to pee really bad. I completely ran out of water. I was getting very hungry, and I'm sure everyone around me was agitated. And I don't want to be like weird and say, well, you never know what could pop off, but you know, if there was something like that happening in your area where there is a transportation system collapse, and then there are violent people there for a completely different reason, you might need a bag like this, but it's also good to just have food on you, just so like your ass is covered and anyone else that you're with might want a snack. So having a snack, having food is really good, whether it's for yourself or giving it out to someone else who really needs it a lot more than you. I think having a snack of non-perishables is just kind of like a no-brainer. It's really good to have food. It's an extra thing, but it's a comfort item. I don't think you'll regret packing it. So in the smaller pouch, I actually have iPro, but the main thing is I have some windmill chem lights that are already set up and taken out of the bag. I don't want to kind of, well, I guess I'll show. I have some short paracord attached to them. Windmill them, tie them off to something, hang them. I can activate those. It's an emergency lighting tool or a signaling tool. You need to coordinate that with people so they know what they're looking for, but if you just need to signal someone like emergency responders or something, it's also a good signal to have, hey, I'm over here by the chem light or the windmill chem light. But right in the rain, just in case I need it. Another snack on hand, a Cliff Bar for easy access, more EpiPens for myself or anyone else that may find themselves needing one, and a battery pack that is customized to some of the equipment that I have on myself. I make a lot of these battery packs. I keep them in my chest rig or a plate carrier or really my backpacks. If I have a backpack, chances are I have a battery bag with it. So that being said, that is literally everything. Besides, I'll carry, this is representative of a water bottle, but if you're gonna keep a backpack in your car, I wouldn't fill the water up from the sink and you're gonna get your water bottle slimy and nasty. Learn from experience. Just take some 16-ounce water bottles and stuff them in the pockets because water is super important. You might need water, someone else might need water. Pack plenty of water. Like I said, whenever I got stranded on the interstate, essentially, ran out of water, it would have been nice to have had another water bottle just to keep myself comfortable. So like I said, a lot of these things are comfort items. Some of these are crazy psychotic prepping items. And the last item, I actually don't have in here because I have it in my everyday carry backpack. So I always carry a backpack with me whenever I'm going to work or pretty much anytime I leave the house. And it just has, honestly, like random junk in it. I guess I'm just still used to carrying a backpack from going to school. So the last bonus item is actually Apple AirTags. You can buy a pack of AirTags. I actually don't know how much they are, but you can get them over time. They're probably like $100 for 4, honestly, but I got a lot of AirTags whenever I was doing traveling. I put them in my backpack, my luggage, even in stuff like my wallet. And if you have a couple AirTags on you at all times that you don't really need for anything, it can be an extremely useful tool, and not for doing anything illegal or tracking people, but for simply if you need to mark a location and come back to it, or if you need to mark an object, let's say your friend's car or something. I actually I had this come up this past weekend where my friend's car broke down, and I came to pick him up from the gas station, but we had to leave and go somewhere, and he was uncomfortable leaving his car there. And pretty much I had an AirTag and just popped it in the car and said, look, we can see where the car is at all times. Got the AirTag. Let's give somebody the keys. We're going to call a tow truck and get the car towed. And I think that gives me a lot more peace of mind whenever I can actually see where something is. And there's been some other things that have come up, so I hope I'm not doing a poor job of explaining this, but I think out of all this stuff, besides probably water and Apple AirTags, man, that's the stuff. I mean, I'll use AirTags for just keeping track of all sorts of stuff. So, you know, if you think it's a good idea, do it. I recommend it. You won't really realize until the situation comes up. You think a little bit creatively and you're like, oh, I have an AirTag. I can AirTag this item and I don't have to worry about someone stealing it or something weird happening. Or you can maybe even put them in the pockets of your friends just in case, like I said, something weird is happening and you guys want to keep track of each other and your phones don't work for some reason. I don't know. Anyways, guys, this is kind of the summertime fun backpack. I want to go over some of these items. I think this is kind of fun, kind of cool. I haven't been carrying this around as much as the political or social tension has kind of died down. But in June, this was in my car every single day. Now it's not. There's really nothing going on that I'm worried about in my local area. So just address your needs and see if any of the stuff works for you. I would go ahead and take stuff like medical equipment you have around your house, water bottles, make a bag of food, and maybe you pack some zip ties in here if you have them, you know, a small gun that you can fight better with than your handgun. Go ahead and stuff it all in a backpack that you have closed away in a closet somewhere. All that being said, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. God bless you and have a great day.